Thank you for tuning in to our podcast, From the Darkhorse's Mouth. Today's episode is Free Agent, the New Era of Independence. Joining us is our co-pilot, Carly.
Hello, everyone.
And our guest, Steve Woodworth.
Hello.
He's the owner of Woodworth Recruiting. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So one of the
Pleasure
things,
to be here.
yeah, it's great having you. And one of the things we always like to start off with is kind of your background and your insurance journey up to this point.
Okay. Well, the journey started about 34 years ago, a little more than that. I was in the aerospace business and was looking for an opportunity to get into something where I'm not going to do as much travel. And that took me to looking at this as an option. So it was not something that I had been thinking about for a long time, but it happened to be something that really fit in with what I wanted to do. So I started as a captive agent with a company. Don't know if I should name that company or not.
You're welcome to.
American Family Insurance.
All right.
And
Great
that's
company.
where I got my feet wet and spent 10 years with that company as an agent and as a trainer at their home office. So that was a great opportunity for me to decide where do I want to take it to the next level, and went back to agency and then transitioned to independent agency. And that's what led me to where I am today, now helping agents with trying to transition to independent agency from captive.
Got it. So talk to us a little bit about that, because obviously, recruiting can mean a lot of things. And we've previously had, a staffing company that does recruiting for employees and, another one that has done VAs. But your recruiting is very specific to a few different target markets.
Yeah.
Can you educate us on that?
Well, it's now gotten to the point for over the years when you hang around long enough, people start thinking about reaching out and looking at opportunities, because the captive world has changed a lot, and especially in the last 6 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's taken a huge change. And a lot of that comes from everything that's happened in the marketplace, COVID, and also the profitability issues that have come up have caused a lot of pressure being put on these agents to make sure that they are writing profitable business. But customer expectations have changed.
Okay.
And maybe we could talk about that at some point. But customer expectations and working for captive companies that may not be keeping up with the type of technology they need in order to help those agents to be relevant to their clientele.
Got it. One of the things that comes to mind is, back in the beginning with captive agencies, it used to be your neighborhood, agent,
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
Where people,
Yeah.
I remember when I started in
Walk-ins.
the insurance business, this was in 2003. There was an agent there that had been real successful. Previously, it wasn't doing as well now, but one of the things that he had said is there used to be a line at his door.
Yeah.
Because that's how business was done. People line up, they get their insurance. I remember my first, I had some business transferred into me, and I'm looking at the old quotes that were done on paper.
That's right.
By hand. And so I think that, what it sounds like is, there's some companies or even agents themselves that kind of get stuck in that the way things were instead of evolving to the way things are today, which is in line with the customer expectations I think you spoke of.
Yeah.
Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah. It's interesting. Now we see with technology a lot of programs that are out there with using AI, and it's the same thing over and over, where agents sometimes are going to have to be able to change as well in making sure that they use some of this technology to make sure they're taking care of their clients. But the problem has been, Dan, with the use of emerging technologies is that some of these agents think that it's replacing some of the things that they have to do. One thing that's very important is making sure that they use that technology to make sure they still are taking care of their clients. It's not where it's replacing some of the things that they need to do to make sure that they remain a relevant advisor to those clients.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one of those. I always say it's not instead of, it's in addition to.
In addition to, yes.
And I think even even ourselves, we can and do get lost in that a little bit sometimes, because when you lean on technology, first of all, you want to be, in my opinion, you want to be an early adopter of technology because it's not going anywhere. Right. So if you don't move forward with it, you're going to get left behind.
That's right.
The other part of it is you can't forget about what makes the agent special to begin with, and that's that relationship.
That's right.
Right. And so if you leverage the technology too much to where you're replacing the relationship, then you can run into a disjointed relationship, which, is some of the things we've experienced just in growing and leveraging technology is like, oh, wait a second, that relationship is what really keeps them there. And if you disjoin it because you're, so forward in AI or some of the other stuff, it can work against you.
Well, I always said that when I talk with these agents that are coming to me that want to talk about looking at independent agency, there's a lot of times there's misconceptions because when they think of independent agents, they think, oh, I get to handle everything. I'm independent. Well, there's still commitments they have, especially if they join groups. There's a commitment to the group. There's also a commitment still to the carriers as well. And many agents feel that they have control. Well, no matter what type of situation is, in a partnership, there's responsibilities by both parties.
Right.
For that. So,
yeah, even if you're, we talk about the groups as you'd call them versus just going direct. I mean, you still have responsibilities in regardless of which way that you go, which kind of leads me to the kind of the next question is, what do you see as was the rise of the network model or the group model?
Well, I think originally it was, when you want me to go back 30 years?
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. Take us back.
Well, 30 years ago, the groups that existed at that time, I will call them traditional aggregators. And they pretty much did the same thing, maybe offered different splits of commission, but pretty much they offered a contract that was probably more favorable to the group. Things have changed because those few groups back then have now morphed into many groups. As I say, a group under every rock. Now, every person that forms a group, they go in with the idea that they think they have a better mousetrap. But and they go in with the intention, I think, of trying to do something for agents. But something happens. Once they set up these groups, things happen where the focus goes away from that, and it's more of adding agents and not really keeping up with changes, keeping up with being relevant for those agents that joined originally. And if we expect our clients, if they expect us to change as agents, groups need to expect that they need to change as well for some of the things that agents need. Otherwise, they're going to fall by the wayside. So,
what are some of the things that? Sorry, Carly, go ahead.
No,
I was about to cut you off.
No, I was going to ask that question. Is what are the things that they see that need to be changed, or how do groups? I guess it's two parts. What do they see needs to be changed, and then how do groups go about listening and extending that ear, so to speak?
Well, boy, there's a lot of answers to that question. A lot of things to take into account. One is being able to change. Groups, a lot of times set up a system, and for many years probably were great systems. And I'm not going to go back and name some of those traditional aggregators, but for many years they kept a contract that was more advantageous to them. But as more groups came out, they had to change those contracts. Those contracts have changed drastically. They're night and day from what these large groups had 30 years ago versus today.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's other things that have come into play. Private equity money
Mm-hmm.
has come into play. They've needed to change in order to attract agents in their group. They needed to make sure that they changed their platform to make it something that the agent felt that they can have a career in and be able to, when it's time to leave or walk off into the sunset, or have a drink with an umbrella in it in some Caribbean island or something.
Mm-hmm.
They need to make sure they have a platform for them to leave, and make it easy for them to leave as well. So that's one thing. Communication. Agents expect more communication. They expect to be able to understand if they are working inside a group, they need to understand that what's happening with profitability. Is there profit sharing? What are the expectations?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times in some of these older groups, agents didn't find out if they got profit sharing until after it was over with. So being more proactive, I'm hoping that there are more groups I know some are, that are trying to make sure that agents are partnering with them to make sure that they are doing their part to be profitable,
Yeah.
and the group being profitable.
Mm-hmm. True partnership.
True partnership.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's important. But the contracts have changed to make it so that groups have to come to some realization, if they haven't already, that they need to have a program that allows flexibility for the agent.
What do you think the top 3 things are from a flexibility standpoint that are important to these agents based on your experience?
Well, in today's market, let's talk about today's market. Right now, even there are a lot of carriers out there that there's moratorium on appointments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just can't get them.
Yes.
What's that do for agencies? Well, it sometimes limit their ability to write business. They need to have access to carriers. All groups have normally a set of carriers that they partner with.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they want to write the business with those carriers to aggregate the premium for more profitability for not only the group, but for the agents as well. But there is a fine line there that if an agent needs a carrier that a group may not have, there needs to be some mechanism for them to be able to get access,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's through an exception on a contract, because most groups still limit the carrier access
Mm-hmm.
if it's outside of their group that they don't have a relationship
Right.
with. So, yeah.
Yeah, I always say that if you're not successful, we're not successful.
Exactly.
And so if there's certain situations, and especially these can be very regional specific, as you know,
Right.
to where maybe we don't have the relationship, but they have the ability. Why restrict them
That's right.
from that?
And one thing I always have said, working inside the different groups I've worked with and managed their agency growth, is that having those that business come in that maybe there's not a relationship, it could evolve into having a group relationship with those carriers
Mm-hmm.
if they see agents are using it inside the group and are
Yes.
profitable too.
Yeah. Let's write good business.
Right.
So talk to us a little bit about, so you use the term group,
Mhm.
which that can apply to a lot of things. And I actually like that terminology, because the one thing that I'm always trying to say that we're not and separate ourselves from is how people traditionally look at groups is, and they all drop them into that aggregator bucket,
Oh, yeah.
which is typically, from my experience, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in my experience, it's like, higher commissions and profit share. It's a pure money play.
Yep.
But there are a lot of different groups, Darkhorse being one of them, that has other services to offer. We call ours a platform. But how would you classify the different groups out there?
Oh boy, there's so many different names. The reason why I use the term group is because I don't want to get into a contest of trying to figure out, okay, what's an aggregator, what's a cluster,
What's a network?
There's so many different terms out there used. But when I talk about groups, I'm talking about insurance agents that have come together that have formed some type of a relationship where they're able to aggregate premium
Mm-hmm.
and aggregate premium for the benefit of having more profit sharing
Hmm.
available to them. Um, but there are some downfalls to that as well when you get into some of the subcategories, clusters.
Hmm.
A good example of a form of a group that basically is maybe a bunch of, I call them rogue agents that want to be independent themselves, but they want to aggregate their premium, but still be able to control whatever they do in the agency.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a downside to that, and probably why a lot of clusters are reorganized every 5 to 10 years.
Hmm.
And the reason for it is because you've got all these individual agencies that maybe have responsibilities for this carrier, Travelers. This one may be responsible for dealing with Liberty Mutual. But what they do is they aggregate, and each of those people are really, because they may have a larger amount with Travelers and this one may have a larger amount with Liberty, they're looking at trying to get the group to move and do things that they want to build those separate relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Darkhorse. If you look at Darkhorse, it's totally different type of group. As you said, it's a platform. But what you do is you have one focus on how do we build these relationships with the carrier? How do we, and relationships are very important. I call them carrier partners.
Mm-hmm.
Because without, you have two type of customers you deal with. You deal with agent partners,
Hmm.
and you're dealing with carrier partners, and trying to bring them together to focus on growing the business and benefit everyone.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I see clusters can't do. They cannot do that in the form. And they'll see that because they're all going their own little ways, that's why there's reorganizations where some agents may be kicked out of the cluster, others may be added. It's a totally different, messed up system that
Sounds
I
like a
wouldn't
fun
want.
process.
Yeah.
And sorry
You
if
get-
you're out there and you're in a cluster,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You got voted off the island.
That's right. And I wouldn't want to go through that every 5.
So these captive agents,
Reform a new cluster. So
I
yeah,
guess I
got it.
didn't realize
Yeah.
that about clusters.
yeah, it's really
It's interesting.
really there's some interesting ones out there that I know very personally. I
Yeah.
know them very well. So
That you talk with, obviously they have a lot of options. What are the things that you're talking to them about? Because it's not really a one size fits all, right?
right.
There's some people that would find value in what we do. There's other people that find value in a traditional model.
Mhm.
So like what types of things are you having conversations with them about when it comes to selecting?
That's a good question. And I talk with agents all the time. And one of the things that I realize in talking with these agents is they all come with the idea that all groups are created equal,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not.
Yes.
They all may have certain things that they do very well, but they're not the same. And so when an agent comes to me and says, "Oh, I'm looking at these different groups, but I like this group because their commission split is better."
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first thing I say to them is there any other reasons why you like that group? Well, no, because I want to make money. I like that split. Well, there's different splits, but maybe are you talking about getting a direct code, a split on a direct code? Or are you writing under a shared code, under their master code, which the deck pages come out in the group name, not yours? Are you aware that there's different splits that could be for those that business that you write under a master or shared code? Most of them didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how are they paying profit sharing?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've had agents say that we're actually in the world of insurance and we're working for another group that come to me and are questioning whether they should be in another group. Didn't realize that there's such a thing called profit sharing
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
or bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you're joking, right? No, because they never got to experience that. It was something that's never talked about. But a lot of groups out there have different ways. Everything is different. They could, if they happen to get profit sharing, some groups only pay 50% of it back to the agents.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the group gets profit sharing, they may not even get that 50% because they did not meet the standard or the threshold the carrier set for profitability. Doesn't matter if they aggregated this premium and they actually got it because they're under that threshold. It's because they didn't get it. The house kept it. And as I always say in Vegas, the house always wins.
Mm-hmm.
So there's many things we get in and we talk about. Commission splits are not everything.
Mm-hmm.
Is it important? Sure it is. But you want to look at the overall program of what is inside that program. And to me, being where I'm at now, because I did learn a couple of things along the way, is that having a group that supports you,
Mm-hmm.
having a group that provides you programs that will help you get to that next plateau, having a group that you can talk to about challenges in your agency and working together to try to figure out how do you fix this to make it better.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Those are things that are very important. And when you start choosing a group that you want to go to. So,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Do you find that, related to the commission and the split topic, that, in the captive world, generally speaking, the commissions right now are significantly below what they are in the independent channel.
Yeah.
And so do you find that they take the split against what they're used to get paying versus what the actual, like, because for example, if, captive agent comes in and they're making, I don't know, 8 to 11%, us with our split is above what they would have been getting anyways.
that's right.
Right. But it seems like that can get lost on them. Do you find that to be true? Or are they pretty self-aware of that?
Well, I mean, there's certainly there's a lot of talk out in the industry. Do they fully know? A lot of them will say, "I want to go where their best split is, where the
Mhm.
best split is." Well, sometimes when that happens, you're sacrificing something else that you really need. And I've always said to the agents when I talk to them, "What you don't know, you don't know."
Mm-hmm. It's true.
You need to look at the complete program. And not to say things, Dan, but a lot of times when they approach me on this, I put in my shameless plug to say, that's why you need someone like me to help you.
Mm-hmm.
So can I put that shameless plug in here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Anytime.
Yeah.
And so, and that's what's really important is that they have a good understanding of the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that when I walk away from those conversations, that they have a much better understanding and they're able to find a group that will fit their needs as
Mm-hmm.
well as the group needs.
Yes.
And boy, that's another subject that we could get into in another podcast, Dan,
Yeah.
is talking about expectations. But that's what's really important because many of them don't. They just know that they want a higher split of commissions and they're going to be independent.
Yes.
Yeah. How do they feel that, we may be getting into your other podcast topic, but, how do they feel that, being an independent agent differs from their current captive carrier or just being captive?
Well, they look at it as just saying that they have more flexibility, they have more control.
Mm-hmm.
And there is, to a certain extent, more control. But again, there's still commitments that they have to make. But what they don't really look at is that maybe they're leaving that captain background. And I just want to say this. Not all agents that I talk to, by the time we look at what their needs are and what they think there is on the other side
Mm-hmm.
of the fence, sometimes I'll say to them, I think you're better off to stay being a captive agent
Mm-hmm.
because that's going to be better for you. And quite frankly, it's going to be better for the groups that you want to talk to.
Yeah. What are some of those things that they think?
Well, that they have complete control and that they don't have to even listen to a group. That a group may say that there are certain things that you need to do to write better business. We talk about this. They have a responsibility of making sure they underwrite properly. They're just not throwing mud on the wall and writing as much business and bringing over every client
Mm-hmm.
that they can. Um, I've got some really interesting stories about that, but I don't think this would be a good time of going into that. But those are things that they just still need to know that there's commitments that we talked about earlier, because you do have those carrier partners that you have to commit to, but you also have that group that you have to commit to, that you're looking at taking the ship in one direction.
Hmm.
Um, Groups don't work for free. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
There is a cost, just like running an agency, and you manage that. And part of that is also making sure that everyone's being a good partner to each
Yeah.
other. So I'm not sure if I answered your
No,
question,
no, I
Dave.
think I think you did.
Keep that soapbox away from me so I'm not jumping on it all the
Yeah, no,
time.
I think you did answer the question, and you know, you're right. There's a lot, to think about when you're going into it. I think one of the things that we're always looking for is, does the agent have a marketing plan and can they execute on it?
No, you know what? Most agents, when they come and they said, you know what, I'm thinking about becoming an independent agent. And I said, do you have a business plan put together? That's one of the first questions I'll ask. Well, no. Do I need one? Well, yes, you
Mm-hmm.
do. Um, this is going to be a totally different thing than what you're used to. You are going to have to sell yourself. You're no longer selling the red, white, and blue or whatever colors of that captive group. You're
Mm-hmm.
not selling that anymore. You're selling yourself. And you're going to have to sell yourself to your, hopefully, carrier partners. Even if you're inside a group or you're on your own, you need to have a business plan. These groups, these carriers, they, even if you're inside the group, those carriers want to understand that you're going to be a good partner. Even if the group's not going to protect you if you're not a good partner.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to protect you or help you. I hate the word use protect. I hate to use that word protect, but they will do what they can to help you grow in your agency. But uh, you have to make sure that you're doing things right to be a good partner to everyone.
Yeah, and I think back to where you're saying, you tell some people to stay there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my biggest thought, if someone was looking to come to us or go independent, is um, you got to be able to market and grow. Like if you're not, you know, if you're not confident in your ability to continue to generate business,
Mm-hmm.
and you're kind of and you're not doing it now, like that might be cause for concern, because
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get here and you have more options. Your close ratio should be quite a bit higher, your retention ratio should be quite a bit higher. But if you don't have the marketing power to actually create the opportunities to begin with, and also make sure that you're in line with whatever type of non-solicit you have,
Mm-hmm.
then you might want to rethink it, because I think that when we left, it was if we brought any business back after a year, great,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't make the move planning on bringing any
Right.
business back. It was
Yeah.
like it's pure marketing muscle, and we're able to do this and generate the activity. And I think that's like one of the major things.
Yeah, yeah, and there are a couple of things that really surprise me. There are captive agents that have come to me that said, "Well, I want to set my wife up as an agent."
Mm-hmm.
Great. So she's going to have her own independent agency? Well, yeah. What is her background? Well, she's a stay-at-home mom, or she may be working somewhere, but not in the insurance world. And my big thing is carriers aren't looking for that.
Mm-hmm.
They would really want to see an agent that knows how, as I say jokingly all the time, and you guys may have heard me, they want to make sure that they can spell PNC.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's really important, that they need to have some type of background. I discourage agents from doing that unless there is where they do have a partner. But I also discourage them from going further with that business plan if they are looking to violate their own contract as a captive agent.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say, if this is really what you want to do, maybe you both should be jumping into it and coming up with a good business plan to grow your independent agency, if this is really where you want to be. If it isn't, then maybe you shouldn't look at this.
Yeah.
So,
How do you feel the insurance companies, the carrier partners, feel about groups?
well, that could be mixed because not again we mentioned this before. Not all groups are created equal, and there's many of the groups that do not form strategic partnerships
Mm-hmm.
with their carrier partners. Again, there's some stories that I could tell you over the years of where groups basically tried to muscle carriers into doing things that they didn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of the carriers in today's world, because of what we just went through with profit challenges and everything else, the carriers have become much stronger,
Mm-hmm.
and they are not going to fall for that. They're not
Mm-hmm.
going to look at doing that, and kudos to them. They shouldn't,
Right.
because overall it hurts all of us
Mm-hmm.
in the industry if they allow certain things like that to happen, where they have groups that try to muscle them into doing things that they really don't believe they should do. So yeah, that there's been a lot of changes in the industry, especially again since COVID. Now, everyone wants to blame COVID. It's not. It's not blaming COVID. COVID, there are some positive things if you want to look at that came out
Yeah.
of COVID, and carriers realize that not all agents need to have a brick and mortar office.
Mm-hmm.
They can. Some can manage. Now, some can't because they're not. They haven't. They don't have the discipline to do
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
But many of them can, just like any other business. Real estate agents, mortgage brokers, insurance agents are no different in that respect. So some carriers have now allowed that came out, and that really came about from COVID, I think, because up to that point you couldn't get appointments a lot of times unless you didn't have unless you had to have a brick and mortar office to be able to get them.
All right.
So, yeah. Did I answer that question, Dan?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
You sure did. You sure did. I've got one more question, but before I get into it, Carly, you have anything on your end?
You know, I did have one, and then I lost that question when we got into this last question, but it'll come back to me. So ask your
Okay.
question.
Well, now I'll ask Woody. Have we missed anything?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have we missed anything? Well, I'm going to say this. A lot of groups still where there's things that I'd like to see groups do better.
Okay, great.
Mm.
And one we talked about it briefly is making sure they have a program that they communicate better,
Mm-hmm.
a process in place, because they need to make sure that these agents, if they leave them just sit there, a lot of times agents get where they feel that maybe they're not a part of something, or they don't feel that they understand what's going on, and they start questioning, why are they in a group?
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happens. And hey, a lot of groups out there should know that because they have agents leaving all the time
Mm-hmm.
or jumping to another group that they think is better. So communication is really a big piece. I really want to see that. Boy, I lost my train of thought as well, Carly.
It happens, Woody.
Oh, well, there are other things that carriers need to do as well, and that is continually look. We talked about this already. They need to make sure that they have a process in place that they continually look at relevancy.
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing? What can they do to help agents be better partners? And part of that ties in with communication. How many times have you asked agents in a group, what do you like about the group? What don't you like about the group? I wish they would ask that. One, I won't name the group, one group that I suggested that to said, I don't think we want to hear the answer. And that scares me.
Yeah, I would say I think if that's your thought, that's especially the answer that you need to hear because you might not be
Yes.
relevant for very much
Yeah.
longer.
Yeah. You want to, and also a process when you got to be prepared to hear the good, the bad, the ugly, and being able to also have a follow up to acknowledging the discussion and also talking about what can be done and what can't be done and why not.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
I think there should be a checkup. We all, as we get older now, you guys aren't there yet where you have to have those physicals all the time, but I would tell you that you need that checkup.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good to have that annual checkup with your agents. I think you'd see that a lot less agents would even consider wanting to leave a group if they felt that they're being heard.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's all
Yeah.
about providing value. And obviously, when they get started, you're providing a lot of value in getting them started. But as that time goes on, if you're not consistently looking for ways to provide value or asking what value I can provide, then naturally they just think, well, what value am I getting?
Yeah,
And then they start to, think about an alternative.
Mm-hmm.
that's right.
Right. And
Yeah.
so I think I think you're right. I think you're spot on. Like communication is key. Like
Mhm.
you got to communicate. You got to make them feel part of something. They have to not feel part of something, but they need to be part of something.
Yep.
And then you always need to be taking their inputs in to figure out how the group can continue to provide value.
Yeah.
Because as we talked about in the beginning, everything's constantly evolving.
That's right.
Technology, whatever. And so what was valuable today isn't necessarily as valuable tomorrow.
That's right.
And there's other things that you can do, like, we do it just from we'll do internal pilots on things.
Yeah.
And then if they're working and working well, especially because we do own a retail insurance brokerage as well. So we're able to
Sure.
kind of
Do
be a
that.
proving ground and then take that to the agents to provide value because we're living it. So
Yeah.
I could see how, the value it's a real important long-term topic.
Yes.
Well, and on the other side with carriers, we need to be able to work at making sure carriers understand us better too.
Mm-hmm.
Because as we said before, there's no such thing as apples to apples comparison of any group that I'm ever aware of. It's gone that far. 30 years ago, yes, not today. In today's world, it's totally different on how they market, how they look at agents that are in their group. Some are merely producers, where they maybe have more control. But in the where you have independent agency owners, you need with that communication piece, making sure they're working together. But with carriers, you need to make sure that they understand the challenges and what's different about your group and what makes you a better partner. Because as we talked about before, Dan, partnerships evolve during good times.
Yes.
They're solidified in challenging times,
True.
and that's important
Mm-hmm.
that we understand that, and we work with carriers so they understand us better as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So-
I'd agree. That they also need to see the continuous value.
That's
Yes.
right. Exactly.
And
Absolutely.
the
There's
communication.
Three parts to that triangle,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
and I could see how sometimes they could get lost in the shuffle too if not communicated with and in just reminded of what the difference is,
Mhm.
because a lot of times too in the carrier world, those marketing reps that we work with, they go different places. You get a new person in, they have to be educated,
Yep.
right? Otherwise their experience is what they've known before and not what you're showing them now. So that's a real important takeaway.
Yeah.
Well, there's still one other thing.
Oh.
Dealing with carriers. In this process of working out this relationship, we need to work with them to make it an easier process,
Yes.
especially with groups that are growing across the country. A lot of times we're dealing with more regional people. We don't have those understanding of working with other regional people in that same company. They may not even understand us as a group.
Sure.
So we need to work with the carrier and put them to task to make sure that everyone understands how this group or any group will work with them
Mm-hmm.
across their whole footprint.
Yeah.
So, and that's getting the agents to their appointments faster
Mm-hmm.
so that they're making money and they're being good partners in the agency too.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, great.
yeah.
Carly, do you remember your question?
I did. It was around when we were talking about when agents come to you and you're letting, are they a good fit, not a good fit? And we were talking about a marketing plan, about agents who have multiple businesses or want to do insurance as a side hustle.
Yeah,
How,
a
what
lot
do
of
you
those.
tell those?
There's a lot of those. People coming from the tax world, people coming from that may be licensed agents but deal with life insurance.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they woke up one morning, or Medicare agents, and he woke up one morning and said, I've got clientele here. I'll be able to write their P&C. Well, there's some that over the last lot of years that have come to me that say, oh, we're going to kill this. And they didn't because they still focused on their main business.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where a lot of times I'll say to them, who do you have in place that's going to work on this specifically to make this a good business, to make this successful? Is this going to be like a lot of them that have come to me, that they had this idea that they're going to all of a sudden make a lot of money setting up this P&C business and then falls flat
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't have the commitment or the personnel in place to do it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that gets back to making sure too, I'll say to them, you need to show a business plan of how you're going to be successful. And again, most agents don't, they put the cart ahead of the horse.
Yes.
And they need to walk through. The first thing I tell agents, when we do this needs analysis, where's your business plan? Don't have one. You need to get one. That's the first thing you need to do. So I want you to leave this meeting and I want you to work on a business plan and come back in our next session. We're going to talk about your business plan. We're going to talk about your needs in the meantime that day. But when you come back, it's going to be dwelling on if this is a good fit and how are you going to plan to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my 3 cents on that.
Yeah, and I think that's important to note that it is not, it has to be a full-time commitment.
It has to be a
Either
full-time
you
commitment.
or someone else fully committed to it, because it's not something that you can just, oh, I'll write a couple policies here and there and make a living. There's got to be volume, a plan, and a level of effort.
Now, there's another thought on that too. When they are going to bring someone on that maybe is going to manage the P&C side,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, what happens? And this is what the question is when they say, "Yeah, I have someone in place." Okay, what is your backup plan? And so, why do I need a backup plan? Well, there's a lot of people out there think the grass is greener on the other side of that fence.
Mm-hmm.
And that person that you have hired that's managing your P&C business all of a sudden decides that they want to do it for themselves or they want to leave the industry. What happens the next day when it comes to where someone's supposed to open up the door to do business? Are you going to be the backup?
Yeah.
What are you going to do to plan for this?
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you that happens a lot. That happens a lot because agents that are responsible for setting up agents to grow look at it and say, why don't I have ownership in that?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe an option is to give them ownership, to retain them put a carrot out there for them to do that. So I didn't want to get off track on that question.
No, that was great. That really answered that question because you see it a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, smart question.
Thanks.
Yeah, it is. Very good question.
Thank
Last
you.
question. I don't know if it's as smart, but we'll run with it. What do you see the future of groups next 5, maybe 10 years?
Well, they're always going to be there, but there has to be a lot of changes too, in how they are operating, because there are groups out there that are not willing to make change as fast. There's 3 types of people, and I think the same thing is true with groups. There's groups that make things happen. There's groups that watch things happen. And there's groups that look around and say, what just happened? And that is true.
Yeah.
And I've seen some of those groups disappear
Mm-hmm.
or were swallowed up by other groups
Mm-hmm.
because they were not prepared to deal with the future. Um, there are some interesting groups out there. I think that we'll see more private equity money come in that is going to swallow up some of these groups.
Mm-hmm.
Will the total number go down? I don't know, because there always seems to be people that want to jump into the group market, and they want to offer. They sometimes I almost feel that sometimes they're trying to commoditize even the group
Mm-hmm.
world, and trying to set up something to make it automatic and make it work, but aren't willing to put the effort in to building it, or they're building it to sell it.
Yeah.
Now there are groups out there,
Mm-hmm.
groups I know
Yeah.
that I know what they're doing. They're out there and they're building it. But the unfortunate part is those agents that are inside those groups
Mm-hmm.
don't have a clue that it's going to be owned by someone else in the next 3 years.
Right.
Well, and I think that's causing a fear right now for people who are looking to join, that is starting to come up because they're seeing private equity come in,
Yep.
sweep into these groups. And so it's causing a, well, what happens if type thing, or,
Yeah.
is your group going to sell?
And that's why they're looking at, what is my out?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a question that
It's
comes
fair.
up in the whole you
Mhm.
hear it. They want to know, if I want to leave, what is that process? There are a lot of groups that ignore talking about that. But the conversation, I think, needs to be had. Do they have an out if something like that happens? They want to make sure that they're not working and putting a lot of effort and money into building an agency that could go sideways if a group is sold,
Mm-hmm.
or it changes it to where they don't want to be in the group anymore. It's an uneasy subject for groups
Sure.
to talk about, Dan. I don't know if that is for you, but it is an uneasy talk. How do you talk about the future that you don't know what's going to happen?
Right. Well, I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's relevant to any conversation
life.
with anyone.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Right.
you do the best you can to kind of navigate, and that's where the make things happen versus what just
Watch,
happened comes
yeah.
into play, because you really have to be forward thinking and looking into the future all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not, then it's all about preparation.
Right.
Then you're not prepared, they're not prepared, et cetera. So I don't think there's there's an answer
No.
necessarily to the
No.
question.
Yeah.
The answer is you do the best you can on all parties to make the best decision for you.
Right. I agree. I mean, you don't have a crystal ball to determine where everything is going. I mean, let's face it, we wouldn't have said 20 years ago that some carriers that were in the personal lines P&C and the commercial lines P&C market would have just walked away from the personal lines P&C side. We've seen that with
Yeah.
carriers. We see it with other things happening with carriers that dealt with exclusive or captive agents, whatever you want to term them, that turned around and said to the agents, you're all going to become independent agents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. It's happening
Right.
even in the captive world, where you would think you were very secure and protected in that world, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore.
Exactly.
And then you have to find your own way out. So
That's right.
Mhm.
And we've seen that. That really started about 7-8 years ago, and we're in the process of seeing others doing it. Now, my thing to those carriers, we actually, in one of the capacities I worked in, we actually approached those carriers and said, we understand the agents are going to become independent agents. How can we partner with you to make it an easy transition? And because they didn't understand independent agency
Mhm.
and the challenges that these agents had ahead of them and had to learn all over again, they didn't see the urgency of doing that. Now, if there's any captive carriers out there watching this podcast, it's something you need to look at. And these agents, if you still want to be partners with them after they become independent agents, then you need to make sure that you're looking out for helping them in this process.
Mm-hmm.
So
Perfect.
Yeah.
that's my 2 cents.
That was good.
Love
Okay.
it.
I love the 2 cents, the 3 cents, and
Yeah. Well, the 3 cents I always say because of inflation. We got to.
yeah.
I
There
should
you
have
go.
changed the 2 cents.
There you go.
Okay.
Anything else? Did we miss anything, or we do a
No,
pretty good job?
I think we've hit everything that we wanted to talk about. I think just I hope we get across to the agents that are listening that are maybe considering
Mm-hmm.
leaving captive world, or are independent producers that are looking to become an independent agency owner, that there are certain things that they need to plan in the process. And again, if they would come to someone like me, the first thing I'm going to ask them, where's your business plan? Number one. Also, I want to understand why. Why do you want to become an independent agency owner? I want to understand what are their needs in doing so. I want to understand or get an idea of what they think or what they feel independent agency is all about.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to have a discussion about what's actually true and what's not. And making sure that this is still a good fit for them to move forward. And coaching them on how do they view carriers, how they evaluate a relationship. Because I think, excuse me, I say carriers, groups. I'm sorry, I used the word carrier. But evaluate groups. Because I think groups, Dan, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but you want to make sure that you put on agents that are going to be good partners and that you're not having to fight the relationship. You want someone that would fit in with what you have.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Otherwise, we lose money.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, and quite frankly, it takes us a while to get past that break-even point with new agents because they have to produce before the group makes anything. So having the right partnership with the right agent is critically important.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So last segment we always like to end on is an Ask Me Anything. So that's you asking me a question, business or personal, and I'll do my best to answer it.
Oh, I don't want to get too personal. Dan, over the years that you've been an agent, of everything you've done, you started out as when I first met you, you were a farmer's agent, a captive agency. You went independent in 2014, and I'm sure there was a lot of learning, even though you were a very successful farmer's agent. I tried to recruit you to the independent agency before that. Never forgave you because you didn't go along with me at the time. But looking back all the years, what has been the most enjoyable, most rewarding thing that you have done after, or as in the insurance world? What is the most rewarding?
That's a great question because the most rewarding, I mean, there's a lot, there's a lot of challenges, and the reward usually comes out of the most difficult challenges.
Yeah, it does.
And so to try to tie it down to any one specific or most rewarding, man, there was a time. So I own another company called Avalon. Avalon's our own commercial property program for apartments, commercial real estate. And there was a time when we were looking to launch that. And part of the process is you've got to take, an existing book of business and you bring it over here to get basically reinsured by all these different insurance companies. That kind of creates the foundation. Well, the renewals for that book of business were like March through May, the bulk of it that I had to move over. And unfortunately, we couldn't get the contracts with the reinsurance companies lined up fast enough, so we missed all that. So I was standing at a gas station, Shell station nearby, and I got a phone call from the consultant that was helping me put it together and helping me build it. And he's like, Dan, you just missed your your entire renewal period. These carriers, you've got to basically bring, millions and millions of premium to them within a 90-day window. And if you don't, it's going to be a big problem. He's like, I'm not telling you what to do, but I couldn't sleep at night. And, you may want to consider, live to fight another day and try this another time. And so I thought about it. First, I was happy he didn't shut it down for me. He let me come to the conclusion. But I thought to myself, I was like, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it again. This is the opportunity. This is the time. Like, I'm just going to go for it. I'm confident that I've got a pipeline. I'm confident I've got the right team. I'm confident I can do it. And so I'm just going to do it. And so I moved forward knowing that I had just basically missed the prime renewal period that I needed to make this thing go. And we were successful. It took a lot of work, but it was out of that's created a significant amount of opportunity for others in the organization and a lot of funding for all these other companies that I've developed. So I'd probably say that was the most like professionally rewarding. I think it's also the most rewarding for the company and the people in it as a whole too, because a lot of what's been created came out of that decision.
Well, that's a good answer. I'm disappointed. I thought maybe getting to know me would have been one of the most rewarding.
Well, you didn't ask something personal.
Oh, okay, that's personal. Okay, and then also becoming a Green Bay Packer fan, that would work well for me.
Yeah.
Too,
Well, I don't know. That might be on the long-term value conversation.
Yeah.
Not sure that's happening.
Well, good. This has been a pleasure. To be here.
Thanks for joining us, Woody.
I enjoyed this. I when I first came in here, I thought I was entering the Ed Sullivan studio. For this,
good old Ed Sullivan.
I don't even know what that looks like.
Oh, it's like
yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Well, we'll take it. We appreciate you.
Thank you
coming on, and very cool to just kind of sit with you and talk about
pick your brain.
You've got a wealth of knowledge, and we appreciate all of your contributions that you've made to us in our growth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what, it's amazing. I always say that I'm at a point where this is the type of stuff that I enjoy. If there's a way that we can move the needle in helping agents,
yes,
and making the right decisions, because so many of them jump into making decisions that they were not well informed, and they had to do a restart. If they can learn from our mistakes, I think that's very important.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you having me on the podcast.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
anytime.
Yeah,
anytime.
Thank you for tuning in to our podcast, From the Darkhorse's Mouth. If you want to learn more about us, go to darkhorseinsurance.com.
And follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn at Darkhorse Insurance Brokers, and email any questions to podcast@darkhorseinsurance.com. Thank you.